It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler. It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler.
Hey guys, Tyler here. More recently, the Democrats have lost big time when it came down to the Virginia elections, mostly because of critical race theory, and many people on the Democratic side have claimed that critical race theory was not in public schools and that all is like some sort of right-wing hoax and blah 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 blah. And it turns out that lying in front of people who are potential voters is actually, a very bad thing. And as I'm recording this video right now, it seems as though that support of the Republican Party actually has gone up in comparison to the Democratic Party. Now, personally, I'm not a fan of both parties. One thing I don't like about both parties is the amount of corruption and hypocrisy on both sides. And so, just because one side is losing, I don't think we should support the other side, mostly because it seems as though when it comes down to certain issues, neither side actually have it right, because ultimately in the end, they're being paid by mega corporations to do their bidding. And this sort of issue that I'm going to talk about right now is the main reason why I cannot necessarily get on board under the Republican Party. Michael Flynn, one of the ex-members of the National Security Advisory for Donald Trump, has recently made some comments in regards to Christianity and thinks that the United States should be underneath one religion.
And they're talking about the United States of America. Talking about the United States of America, because when Matthew mentioned it in the Bible, he wasn't talking about the physical ground that he was on. He was talking about something in the distance. So if we are going to have one nation under God, which we must, we have to have one religion, one nation under God and one religion under God, right? All of us together, working together.
When I first heard this news for the first time, I can't say I'm not necessarily surprised about this. Mostly because when Donald Trump was in office, he went ahead and attacked the Johnson Amendment, which pretty much states that politician and religion should not mix between the two. And actually, because of that whole entire tampering, more and more people, of course, have some sort of privilege because they want to put their own personal Christian nationalism into the entire state. And so to hear this news, that somebody else in the Trump administration also do not respect the First Amendment is not necessarily surprising in the slightest. Josh Mandel, one of the people running for the U.S. Senate in the state of Idaho, tweeted out the following things. "We stand with General Flynn. Freedom of religion doesn't mean freedom from religion." I find these comments to be particularly interesting because the last time I checked, the name of the country is the United States of America. The United States applies that you represent all the citizens within the country. Now, according to data, 65% of people in the United States self-identify as Christian, while 25% of the citizens identify as non-religious, and it seems as though that the more data is pulled about non-religiosity in the country, of course more and more people are starting to be more or less religious, particularly among the millennial generation of people to come. Maybe it's me, but if I was a candidate who was just, running for office, and by the way, I don't like either the Republicans or the Democrats or the liberals or the conservatives, but let's just say I was running as some sort of conservative candidate, right? I would think the most unifying message I would get across to all Americans are the founding conservative principles that unite the people who subscribe to the ideas. And of course, there are people who are, of course, Christian and conservative, just like there are people who are atheists and conservative. And so, I would think to get the most vote out of people, you probably bring up to some sort of talking points when it comes down to conservatism. For example, you could probably bring up the idea of the family unit or preserving traditions, things like that, to get as many votes as possible. But to talk about how all people should just subscribe to one religion, That to me does not sound like unification at all. In fact, it's the exact opposite of unification, but what do I know? We're running our campaign through churches, and I thank Pastor Ryan Brown for hosting me at the Calvary Baptist. Things discussed. Vaccine mandates are unconstitutional. Life begins at conception. Judeo-Christian values and American values are one of the same. I find this tweet so incredibly hypocritical. Well, for starters, and stating the obvious, that religion and politics should not mix in the slightest. But not just that though, but in the tweet he stated that vaccine mandates are unconstitutional and that life also begins at conception. Fair enough. I don't necessarily agree with the idea of pro-life or pro-choice. I'm just like, in the middle, but fair enough with the whole entire, vaccine mandates ideas. But it's just so weird that he says that he wants freedom of people to choose to, of course, have like life and people to actually choose to not get a vaccine or not. But when it comes down to this whole entire idea that America was not founded as a secular nation, that church-state separation is not a thing, I just find it so incredibly hypocritical because he's claiming that we should not have some sort of separation of church and state. It's just so bizarre to me. When it comes down to this whole entire comment that America was not founded as a Christian nation, the First Amendment openly states out loud that Congress shall not make no law respecting the establishment of religion. Article 6 of the Constitution also states that the senators and representatives before admission and the members of several state legislators and executive and jurisdictional offices, both of the United States and several of the states, shall be bound by oath and administration to support this Constitution, but no religious text shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust underneath the United States. Look guys, understand that of course the Democrats are openly supporting critical race theory. I understand that, and some other ideas that you're probably against. I also understand that. At the same time, I don't think that combating critical race theory, combating the ideas of the Democrats, should be combated with the idea of a Christian theocracy. I'm sorry, but freedom of religion also means freedom from religion, and so I cannot support any sort of candidates whatsoever that go against the very founding principle of our nation. But what do you guys think? Tell me in the comment section down below, and as always, I'll talk to you guys next time.
It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler. He's your only black friend, so he's your best black friend. I wouldn't trade him for another black friend, because black friends are rare, as you should be aware. He smiles like Richard Pryor, so just sit and stare. It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler. It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler. It's everyone's friend, it's Tyler.